Hi all and welcome to another chapter preview for Conan Exiles. Today we're going to look at all the big updates and changes that are coming to Chapter 4 of Age of War. Since the upcoming chapter is now available on the public beta client, PC players can already take a first-hand look at everything new before the official launch, which has been announced for April 2nd. By the way, this is the first time that we are seeing a fourth chapter for an age. And it was said that adding a chapter would give the team more time to properly add and polish the content that is intended for an entire age. Moving forward, all ages will have 4 chapters, with Chapter 1 and 3 focused on implementing big feature updates. Now let's get started. The first one is a bit of a surprise, as we honestly didn't expect to see some completely new content in this chapter. But here we go. There will be a new Jhebbal Sag themed event, the Sacred Hunt. This event will be available throughout Chapter 4 and might be returning to the game as a recurring event in the future. Oh, and it's available for both the Exiled Lands and the Isle of Siptah. During the event, you will be attacked by Jhebbal Sag ambushers throughout the night, which drop event-related resources. You can also find a map that provides a clue to the event hub location. But you won't have any trouble finding it, as a giant glowing beam will mark the spot. By the way, if you want to opt out of these attacks, even just temporarily, there's actually an option that allows you to do so. At the hub, you can find a trader, quest NPC, and crafting altar. All this is tied to some new champions you need to defeat at specific locations. Doing so will grant you items that allow you to summon a new final werebear boss. By the way, champions and the final boss take minimal damage unless you're fighting naked. Yes, naked, wearing a specific event war paint. Throughout the event, you can collect items that serve as currency at the new event trader. And you'll be able to buy new recipes for Jhebbal Sag themed items like gear and placeables. There will also be a special event patron that can show up at your tavern and act similar to contacts that can be hired. But in this case, you don't need to hire the NPC in order to interact with him. Talk to Syl the Wanderer and he might share some more secrets with you. To be honest, we have been a bit disappointed with events in the game so far. But this sounds like it could be fun, and the possibility to unlock new items is a great incentive to participate. We'll make sure to cover the event in more detail in a separate video. Another big ticket item we have been waiting for is the introduction of Fatalities. Those of you who have played Funcom's MMO Age of Conan will know what we are talking about. During combat, there's a chance for humanoid enemies to enter a dazed state, and during this state you can trigger a fatality, which is a kind of super finisher. Fatalities are different based on the weapon you're using. And during the animation of the fatality, you'll be briefly immune to damage. Helpful if you're surrounded by more than one enemy. Besides being awesome, if you like the gore, fatalities also provide you with a special buff. And for those who do not want to see fatalities on their server, there's a setting that lets you disable them fully. But it doesn't stop here. Another feature that's seeing a few more additions in Chapter 4 are purges. There will be several new encounters when triggering a purge of higher difficulty. Some waves will now include thieves attacking your base. Thieves will use an invisibility spell, and while you won't be able to see them, you might be able to hear them. Their main function is to pick locks off your doors to make way for the remaining attackers, so be wary where you station your thralls. Other high-level purges can now include waves of attacking golems. Now that doesn't sound too bad, you say? Well, if most of them are wearing exploding jar heads, you might think differently. Last but not least, the highest difficulty purges can include Starcaller mages. These magic wielders will rain down meteors onto your base. We believe mostly in the area of your treasure coffer, but the area of effect is quite large, as you can see. Taking the mages out as soon as possible will be of high priority, as these meteor showers are truly devastating. By the way, some of the meteors that land can be harvested, so at least that's some form of compensation if you and your base survive. Seeing Purges getting a bit more fleshed out is great, and we can't wait to try some of these new encounters. On the topic of war, there will be a new siege weapon that arrives with Chapter 4, and that's the Ballista. Built atop a siege foundation, Ballistae can use either bolts or round projectiles as ammunition, and it was said that bolts are especially good against avatars, while round projectiles are good against smaller targets or for siege encounters. And another surprise, 2 PvE siege buildings have been added to the Isle of Siptah. One can be found at the ruins of Kshotl in the west, and the other at New Luxor in the east. These locations will be similar, if smaller in scale, to the siege fortress that can be found at the ruins of Almaraya in the Exiled Lands. They are fully destructible and feature a final boss that can be defeated. On the gameplay side of things, you can now find an option to auto-face forward on attack in your settings, allowing you to choose the style of movement you prefer. And of course, there have been more tweaks here and there, including improvements for some NPC rotations, and more we have yet to discover and try out. To be honest, this is already more than we thought there would be in Chapter 4, but there's even more. Some of the game's UI has seen an overhaul. To give you a few examples, there are new filter options within your inventory and those of crafting stations. There have also been some changes to how information is displayed, in order to hide less information behind buttons and submenus, and display details more consistently. And default key bindings for many actions have been added or revamped. However, a change we greatly dislike is the removal of the dye button in your inventory. Armor can from now on only be dyed at the dyer's bench, not when carrying it or wearing it. We'd love to hear what you think of that and other UI changes. On the positive side, you'll now also see visual cues when you have enough mats to craft items in benches, telling you what's available to craft and how many of it. We really like this change. Furthermore, there is now a handy quick stack option that can be used to stack items of the same type quickly in your storage, or retrieve them all at once. However, the option to split stacks has been changed. While you can now easily half stacks by right-clicking or using the right bumper, the ability to split in exact amounts have been removed. We really hope this option gets added back in, as we use it quite frequently. The probably biggest and very welcome change is that follower behavior can now be set within the follower's inventory instead of the radial wheel, including an option to withdraw from combat and several new sliders. Additionally, follower commands on the radial wheel have been reworked to make selections easier. And the radial wheel in general has seen some changes. And this will certainly take some time getting used to if you're a PC player, as the mouse disappears when interacting with the wheel. We suspect that many of these updates are down to making the game more controller-friendly. Last but not least, the Battle Pass. The challenge system that is required to gain Battle Pass XP has seen a complete rework. From now on, everything you do in-game and that earns you XP also earns you Battle Pass XP. There will still be a select few challenges, and these can earn you additional Battle Pass levels optionally if you complete them. We also found a new option in the gameplay settings to turn the messages off when you complete a new Battle Pass level, a welcome option if you want less interference throughout your gameplay. And since we are talking about a Battle Pass, there will of course be a host of new items also in the Bazaar. It seems there will be yet another extension for the Lost Dungeon building set with cisterns and rounded pieces. Very interesting. We have also seen an image for a set with Yamatai bathhouse placeables and a jousting bundle. And to share a few more nuggets, we have seen pieces for a new Singaran building set in the admin panel, as well as new elevator designs, something we've been waiting to see for a long time. Pet-wise, it seems like we'll see new skins for spiders and dogs. Singaran is a huge theme in this chapter. And that's it for our brief summary of some of the new stuff and changes that are coming in Chapter 4, and which are now available to test on the public beta client. There's a lot more to discover, also in the patch notes, so we can't wait to hear what you think of all of it. Let us know in the comments.